south and northern borders. I do believe we should have 2 port of entries, and I have no problem with immigration as long as it's done correctly. According to Tideway, U.S. Code 1325, any person is in violation of avoidance of inspection, examination, misrepresentation, and fraud. Now, the only thing I ask is to be fair and consistent. Through the Ellis Island process, we process the Italians, the Germans, the French, and the Irish to record them and do medical examination. The only thing we need to do now is to do the same thing, be fair and consistent, have port of entries, so we can get some fingerprints and recorded names, and even now DNA, because of even our military gives DNA, so I think we should collect DNA, people wanting to be admitted into this country, and medical examination.
That's right.
This is an excellent question. This is a question that has been being driven by the ideological extremes since it was first initiated. Here are the 2 extremes. You got one extreme that says round them all up and deport them. You got another extreme that says blanket amnesty, make them all citizens. Okay, those are end results. Here's I'm proposing a starting point to the solution. It's a 2-part problem. First, what do we do to keep new illegal immigrants from coming into the country? And second, what do we do with the illegal immigrants that are already in the country? Certainly we need strong border security. Aside from the immigration issues, there are national security implications, terrorism implications. So we do need physical barriers. We need virtual barriers. Aside from that, though, we need to revamp the immigration process. It is so hard, so onerous right now, that it is easier for these people to come in illegally than legally. Second, what do we do with the illegal immigrants that are already here? Well, we don't know where they are, first of all. We haven't had the time, manpower, or infrastructure to find them all. I know where to start. Let's start in our jails. The criminals, the ones that are the murderers, the rapists, the robbers. Those are the ones that are already in our jails. Let's go get those and deport those first, and then move on to the next group of folks.
Dr. Shah.
Well, the richest man on the planet lives in Mexico. And I'm saying we need to improve the conditions of the people in Mexico so they won't want to come en masse to this nation. And I think that's part of the solution. For instance, Eurocentrism plays a very critical part in this. We wonder why we don't have a baseball team in Mexico, like the Tijuana Bulls or something, but we have 2 in Canada. So that speaks to a kind of elitism and exclusionary behavior that we should not be engaged in. Let's go down there and see what we can do to improve the conditions along the border, make investments in those towns and cities, and make it work. And I think we'll cut down on the need for having these tremendous fences that keep people out.
All right, now 30 seconds for rebuttal. Mr. Harm.
Like I said, no amnesty, just make sure we process and be fair and consistent like we have in the past with Ellis Island. Also, we have to keep in mind reports are coming out now that Al-Qaeda is trying to move into and immigrate toward Venezuela. So eventually, 5-10 years down the line, they're probably going to end up start working their way into the southern border and crossing over. So we have to make sure we keep the criminal activity north and south of the border.
Mr. May.
Mr. Scott would like to go improve conditions in Mexico. I would like to improve conditions here in the U.S. of A. We need to focus in on our country first, and then let them take care of themselves. Now certainly, if we are a prosperous, great nation, they will also become prosperous. But again, I am actually providing a starting point, a solution. All I hear is rhetoric from everyone. I'm actually proposing something that we can start to do, and we can start to do it now. The moment I get elected, we can start to work on this.
Dr. Shah.
We talk about Ellis Island, and I'd like to talk about slave ships. There were only 92 of them involved in the transmigration of involuntary immigrants to this nation. Not only do we have the names of every one of them that came here, contrary to what people said, and little has been done to change the condition of involuntary immigrants. I'm absolutely concerned about the people that are here. I say we need to do something for the people on the other side, too. You can't have people continually risking their lives night and day to come to this great nation. We can do better. Why do we have Mexico, for instance?
A follow-up question, gentlemen. To the issue of illegal immigration, a number of states have made an effort to pass laws, some within limits of the Constitution, some unconstitutional, to deal with the issue of illegal immigration. Starting with you, Mr. May, do states have a role in the battle fight, pick the metaphor of your choice, in dealing with illegal immigration?
Most definitely, especially the border states, because they live right on the border. I mean, does Indiana have a huge role to play? Well, not a huge role. They have a minor role compared to Arizona, or New Mexico, or California. or Idaho, or any of the other really solid border states. But the real question is the Constitution. I mean, both Republicans and Democrats have seemed to just play words when it comes to the Constitution. The blatant disregard or not even paying attention to it. If we get back to it, we've got the framework to solve a lot of these problems. Let's look at it. As long as their laws are constitutional, we should let the states take the lead because they know better than a few party bosses in D.C. or San Francisco, especially on the border. So yes, as long as it's constitutional, let's let them take the lead. If it's not, that's when the federal government steps in to say, you're making a mistake.
Dr. Scott.
Albeit the Constitution, and I do agree, is important. However, I'm very concerned with Canada, where Al-Qaeda and any other group can simply walk across any northern border uninhibited. They can bring anything they want with them. That's where the real danger is, not in terms of humans seeking to what's stated at the base of the Statute of Liberty, giving you're tired, giving you're free. People who yearn to be free, those are the kinds of things that we want to instill in the new immigrants coming to this nation. Yes, we have laws. People have to adhere to those laws, constitutionally or otherwise. However, Canada is the biggest fear yet. Individuals can get passports on a lark, and they are entering this country. They are disrupting our economy, and they are putting fear into a lot of the people who have to oversee these activities, or at least keep a check of the people here who are here illegally or legally through Canada.
Mr. Harper.
I take it the question is if a police officer sees someone of a Hispanic background, then they can just stop them, check their ID, and then report them. Well, my experience working with the police, we don't have time to see someone walking in, hey, let me see your ID. No, it's usually an incident that happens, and then we check everybody's ID and see if they're open warrants, clear, whatever. And then we get to the point where there's been a few times, no ID, no identification. So we have to go through the process of finding out who that person is. And that would be the start of being fair and consistent.
Bill, you have 30 seconds for a vote. Mr. Mann.
Again, the question was, do we let the states, or what role should the states play in it? I hear some good comments from both sides, but I don't hear them addressing the actual question. So again, the question is, as long as it is constitutional, we should definitely let states take the lead, especially border states. Who knows better than someone living on the border versus someone living in D.C. who has been there for 30 years?
Dr. Scott.
Arizona is troubled. Yes, the police will have to do that. They will be engaged in profiling because the mayor and the governor has said enough already. We don't have the money to continue to support the people that are coming here, and we want reform. And one reform they're asking for is that stop anyone that appears to be illegal, and we want to see identification, and we want to make sure that you're here legally. And that is one way of upholding the Constitution.
Ms. Harper.
Well, again, I know how the police work, and they're not going to have time to be checking everyone unless an incident happens. So therefore, yeah, it'll have to just play out where if they do come across something like that, and they do not have identification, then it falls under the 1325 code of misrepresentation.
I want to take a second to move over to the issues of trade and foreign policy. There's obviously in this country a sort of amount of anxiety with jobs that are outsourced overseas, Canada, Mexico, China, etc. Your position, and we'll start with you, Dr. Scott, your position on trade and outsourcing.
Outsourcing has become a real fun game, especially for governments. Everything is outsourced. We need to insource more. We need to provide jobs for people in this country. Some of our largest companies that we have subsidized in order to get them here are now outsourcing. We have the potential of hiring everyone in this state in jobs that are well-paying and are productive.
Ms. Brown.
What we need to do is become a nation of consumer and producers. Yeah, consumer and producer, and get that balance. Right now, we're consuming everything. We're not really producing that much in this country. And part of the reason why everybody's going out of this country is because of the unions. This is right, raising the prices for the corporate owners, and they just go out and country where they can avoid the unions. So we have to get that under control because I think